to Father Abraham. Hello everyone. So as promised, I'm super excited to be talking to you all about some of the patriarchs and matriarchs of our faith from the Bible. Today we're talking about Abraham, Father Abraham. The Bible, we're first introduced to Abraham in Genesis 11, where it is documented that he is a descendant of Shem, the son of Noah. Now we first meet his father Terah. Terah has three sons, Abram, Nahor, and Haran. Abraham and his family at the beginning of the story lived in Ur of the Chaldeans. Ur, as in you are Ur of the Chaldeans, which is in Mesopotamia, present-day Iraq. Now Haran had a son called Lot and two other daughters that were mentioned later in Genesis, Milcah and Iscah. Now Haran dies, unfortunately, before his father Terah. And Nahor marries his niece. Remember Milcah, Haran's daughter? Yeah. Nahor marries Milcah. And Abram marries his half-sister Sarai. Now, I don't know why in those days, they were marrying such close relatives. I have no idea. I don't know. Now, Terah and his sons, Abram and Nahor, they moved from Ur of the Chaldeans towards the land of Canaan to a place called Haran. In Haran, Terah dies at the ripe old age of 205. That's a lot. 205. That's really old. After Terah's death, Nahor goes with his family elsewhere. Abram and Lot travel together. Now this is where there's a first mention of God and Abram. So it is said in Genesis 12 that God appears to Abram and he says, get out of your country, from your family, from your father's house to the land I will show you, and I'll make you a great nation. I will bless you and make your name great. You shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you. And through you, all the families of the earth shall be blessed. So based on this promise, no questions, nothing, Abram leaves the land of Haran with his wife Sarai, his nephew Lot, and all of the people in his household, his servants, like everyone. So they move toward the land of Canaan. Abram passes through the land and arrives at a place called Shechem. In this place, God appears to him and he's like, I am going to give this land, this is the land, I'm going to give it to your descendants. And Abram built an altar there. So an altar is basically this thing that is built out of stones, and usually it's used for sacrifice and for worship. So you sacrifice an animal there and then you worship. Now, Abram doesn't stay in Shechem. He moves and he pitches his tent at a place in between Bethel and Ai. Now that's the good thing about tents, if you don't really like where you are living, if you don't like your neighborhood, you just pick up your tent and then you move. So he pitched his tent in between Bethel and Ai, and then he built another altar there and he worshipped the Lord. It is said that over here Abram called on the name of the Lord. First mention of him calling on the name of the Lord. He moves from that place between Bethel and Ai. It says that he journeyed southward towards the Negev. The man was just exploring the land of Canaan. There was a famine. Where do people go when there's a famine?
Where did Abram and his family go to escape the famine in Canaan? Did they go back to Ur, down to Egypt, or stay in Canaan?
Of course they went to Egypt. So they went down to Egypt, guys. And before they get to the border of Egypt, Abram is there's one little problem, Sarai. Over here, I think we might have problems with your beauty. The woman is 65 years old, people. 65 years old, and her husband is worried about how beautiful she is.
To be fair, because of how long they lived, being 65 at that time would probably be 30 or 40 now. Anyways, I still need Mama Sarah's beauty tips. Where were we?
So Abram tells her that, you know what? Let's delete this minor detail. When we get there, let's not tell people that you're my wife. Let's tell them that you're my sister, because you actually are my sister. Agreed? Sarah agrees, and then they get to Egypt. And enough, everyone starts talking about, not about this man who has just arrived in town, but this beautiful woman that he's arrived with. And like, they keep asking, people talk. And she's like, oh, he's my brother. Oh, and her Abe is going like, she's my sister. So they're doing that sort of thing. And then Pharaoh's princes, some people from Pharaoh's court, they get to see Sarai, and oh, she's beautiful. So they carry the news back to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh hears that there's a showstopper in town. So he has to see for himself. And he has Sarai brought to his palace. And ooh, wow, this girl, this 65-year-old girl, she was something. So Pharaoh is telling Abram, I want your sister to be my wife. So he brings her into his palace, and in exchange, he gives Abram like loads of stuff, like silver and gold and sheep and just livestock, cattle, servants, male and female servants. So he's made Abram very rich for his beautiful sister. And then suddenly, like after Sarai moves to the palace, like things start going wrong. There are plagues. Things started going really wrong in the palace.
Because, remember God's promise to Abraham in Genesis 12?
I will bless those who bless you, and I will curse those who curse you.
Pharaoh taking Abram's wife Sarai had activated curse mode in God's promise. God always keeps his promises. Check, check.
Now, Pharaoh's people try to find out what the problem could be, and they discover that so, of course, Pharaoh is alarmed, and he now knows that Sarai is not Abram's sister, but his wife. So he calls out Abram, and then he, is a name and shame, man. You shouldn't have done this. Pharaoh is very, very upset. He tells it to Abram, and then he kicks them out. He sends people to actually escort them out. Yeah, that bad. So, Abram went to Egypt, with his livestock, his servants, whatever. And now he comes out and he's super, super rich. So he goes back to that place between Bethel and Ai and pitches his tent there. Advantages of having a tent. Things would have been like they were before, but they weren't. Do you know why? Turns out, Abram wasn't the only one who got super rich in Egypt. Guess who else got rich? Lot. So nephew Lot is also super rich, and now, because they've acquired so much wealth between the two of them, the land wasn't big enough for them, because there were also Canaanites living in the land. So Abram and Lot's headsmen began to fight a lot, and Abram was like, you know what, Lot, I think we need to separate. So the whole land is before you. Just look and choose a place, and you go there. So that's what he did. Bible says that he took a long look. He looked, He saw the land of Sodom, and it looked like the garden of the Lord, or the land of Egypt. It was so fertile, man. It was so watered. So he's like, I'm moving to the east. So Lot moved to Sodom with his Lot. And they moved, and then they settled there. When Lot left, God appeared to Abram again, third time. And he's like, look north, look south, look east, look west. I'm giving this entire land to you and to your descendants. So this time, I'm not just telling you. I want you to take a walk throughout the length and breadth of this land. Just look at the scenes, take it all in, get used to everything, because you are going to own it, Abe. It's all going to be yours and for your descendants.